Hello class, welcome to the intro of 3D Max again. So I'm just going to go over a couple of things that are very basic before we start doing our project. So remember to navigate and hold down Alt and the middle scroll button to rotate around your viewport. To zoom in and out, Control Alt and the middle scroll button and just move it back and forth. If you lose your graph here, just hit Z. To zoom in, extents. And to pan, just your middle mouse button. So to make a primitive, or your standard primitives, make sure you go into your Create tab. I'm going to select box, create my box. Like so. When you create your box also, you can go into your modifier and change, whether you want the length to be bigger or smaller. Same thing with the width and the height. Make it kind of cube shape. Then I'm going to add segments. So I can go here and add length segments. So I'm going to do 2 of each to keep it kind of simple for right now. Okay. Next, I'm going to convert it to editable poly. So how to convert it, you can right click, convert to edit poly, or go to your modifier list, select edit poly. When you do this, make sure that you right click and collapse all after you make it an editable poly. So before we get into edit poly, I want to go over the navigation tools real quick. So first is your move tool. Which is your move and select tool. Then is your rotate tool, or your select and rotate tool. And remember, when I'm moving these, this only moves according to where I tell it to move. So if I highlight the X, it's going to move on the X. If I highlight on the Z, it'll move on the Z, and so on and so forth. So if things aren't going right, make sure you're selecting the right areas. Don't get frustrated because you think that things aren't working and you might have hit this and it's moving all funky like, but you realize that Z and Y are selected. So make sure that you watch out for that. Shortcut keys for all your navigations. W is move, E is rotate, R is scale. So remember to learn your shortcut keys, because if you don't, you're going to go a lot slower. Moving on. Edit poly mode. For the most part, when you're in edit poly, you'll be working in vertex, edge, and polygon. So vertex are these little blue dots here. When you're working in vertices, as I said, this is mainly going to be for manipulation, moving points around when you guys are starting off. So next is edge. With your edge, what you're going to be doing most in this tool that selects your edge, these little white lines here, which is your wireframe. You're going to be doing a lot of connections. So if I select all the way around my shape parallelly, so which means that each edge, in order to make a connection, has to be parallel. like so. So when you drag it like this, you know, this line is selected, this one is, this one, this one, this one, this one. Nothing else is selected except for the lines that are parallel to each other. See? And when I'm doing this, I always look around to make sure I didn't select anything else. And then I'm just going to go here to this little dialog box, and I can connect. If I want to make more than one connection, I can change my segment from 1 to 2. So during class, for the most part, I saw a lot of students, when they're selecting, they're kind of just going like this. And obviously when you do this, the lines are no longer parallel to each other, and when you connect it, you get a big giant mess. And you don't want that. It's only going to cause you more trouble later on when you start modeling. Another thing to remember in Edge Tool is how to remove the edge and vertices. So let's say I don't want this anymore. I can hit backspace. However, when I hit backspace, I still have my vertices here. And I can get rid of those by just hitting backspace. However, to get rid of all of them, I can go back into edge mode. And you can only do this in edge mode. Select all your edges, hit Control L just so I can loop around. So just looping around is just me going around like this. Okay. I'm sorry, the shortcut is Alt L. So then I'm going to hit Control Backspace. When I hit Control Backspace, it gets rid of the lines, and then when I go to vertices and hit 1, it gets rid of all the vertices as well. Okay? Next is your polygon mode. So as you see, I selected all 4 of these. To select more than one selection in general, it's usually the same. So if I bring this here, it's the same as Windows. So if I want to select one, I can just click on it. But if I want to select multiple, I can hold down Control and have multiple selections. Same thing goes with this marquee. If I only want to select the bottom here, I have to be careful and just select the bottom when I drag and drop like this. So make sure that when you do this, hold down Control to select more than one object. Okay? So what you're going to be using most here in polygon mode is extrude, like so, bevel, and inset. And when you maneuver all these, make sure when you do this, extrude, bevel, or whatever, you're always moving your mouse up and down. You're telling it basically where to go, how to bevel. So if I select these 2 here, and I bevel, I'm going to pull up until it pull out, and then pull back in to pinch it. Okay? And to undo, just Control Z. It'll bring you right back where you are. Alright? So the next one I'm going to show you is how to copy. To copy, you're just going to hold down Shift and drag. So once when you make that copy, it's going to ask you, do you want to make it a copy or an instance? If you just make it a copy, like I'm doing right now, if I move the copy, nothing will happen to the original, and vice versa with the other side. However, if I make a copy and select instance, hit OK, then when I move my copy, my original will move, and same thing for the other side. So if I select my original and move it, it'll also move the copy. So instance is good if you have maybe two different legs and you just want to edit one of the legs instead of editing both at the same time. Okay, so well, hope that helped, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.